Hi, Come 130, it's Sister Peterson. All right, we're going to do this draft critique. You should be an expert by now and know kind of what to expect. So I wanted to bring up something, though, before we get started, just to make sure that you are aware of it. I know a lot of you probably won't mention your target audience in there, so be mindful of your target audience. What I want you to do in your project report under target audience, I would love for you to actually put everything from the generator. If you don't put everything from the generator, you won't get full points for that. This is worth 1/3 of your grade to make sure that you do understand and you designed for your target in mind. So make sure you put everything from the generator, from the gender to the age, the education level, all that stuff in there, income level. And then down at the bottom in part 2, you will need to explain to me how you designed this ad for your target audience. And I want you to address all the areas. What you did to think of the gender, what you did to address the income level. So if you have like a really fancy background, that's my alarm to go to bed. Whoops. But if you have a really fancy like house with it's just high quality, target somebody with lower income, probably not. Instead, you're addressing somebody with lower income. Maybe they're looking at saving money. If they're saving money, do you have in there save 15% on this product now? How are you addressing the income level? How are you addressing the education level? How are you addressing the relationship status? All of that, okay? So keep that in mind, and I want you to write that in the target audience appeal in order to get points for that part of the assignment. If you have any questions on that, please let me know. The other part is creativity. So making sure your ad thinks outside the box. If I've seen this ad before, that means it's not thinking outside the box. If it's a traditional play it safe ad, how can you make it stand out and be different, okay? And then, of course, the design principles is in the last part I'm grading on, and your execution in Photoshop. Okay, so we are going to do last names A through Z now. So wherever your last name falls in the alphabet, we're going to start with B's, Blackwell, Jordan there, and end with Whitehead, Jessica there, okay? So ending W's. So you can kind of see where you fall in the alphabet according to your last name, and you can skip ahead or watch the whole thing if you would like. So Jordan, we'll start with you. Okay, here's my draft card. I'm not happy with the results that I ended up with. Okay, we'll take a look at it. Well, it's still loading. Give it a second to load. Okay. Is this a Facebook ad? I'm assuming so, but it looks like it got cut off or it's not the correct size. So make sure you're putting in the correct sizes. You actually need to put the actual size in Photoshop. So when you start off your assignment, so new and then new document, and then put in the width and the height here that we give you in the requirements, okay? So this looks like it's too long. Length. This looks like it's about accurate right here, but I don't know what this extra space is. So make sure you do have the correct sizes in your document, okay? I kind of want to see your magazine ad so I can see what I'm going off with, because it's hard to tell. But make your time yours again. Life is too short to just clean. Buy Swiffer and spend time doing what you love. I feel like, okay, this is what I feel like. I feel like you're going the direction of Swiffer is not, like you want to spend more time doing things you love. Well, what if you turned the Swiffer into a game instead? Because it looks like you're doing golf here. What if you have your person, instead of having a mop, they have a golf club connected to the Swiffer somehow, that they're cleaning and playing at the same time? or even they have the Swiffer in one hand and the golf club in the other, that could think a little bit more creatively and outside the box, because you're making your time yours again. So you're doing both, you're cleaning and enjoying it, and then also having fun, or even just having the Swiffer and the golf ball, and the Swiffer is pushing around the golf ball. So there's some ideas there. I think what's going on is this with this, and this is all really confusing, especially because it's cut off. So I'm not sure if the message is really clear. So let's have a full on view of somebody cleaning and maybe just having the Swiffer and then photoshopping a golf ball in there, and them playing golf as they are cleaning, with the idea that you can clean, have fun, and then also spend time doing things you love as well. I would choose maybe different fonts here. I don't know what your target audience is, but this is kind of an overused playful font. I would go, especially when you're dealing with like Swiffer and this brand, you want more kind of a professional font that goes with it. So I would go, I love your sans serif font. Maybe I would use that same sans serif font, but making this bold and stand out again, or just playing around with it. Like this is what I just did with two. This is the exact same font, but I went over here and I found extra light and I played around with that. And this one, it is black, and I played around the contrast. You can also go black italic, but using the same font, but just playing around with the different weights to add interest to it. That might be an option, using the sans serif font and playing around with the weight. But I feel like we're just stacking text on top of each other. What if we did this straight across? Make yours time yours again, and then have the text right below it. Life is too short to just clean by Swiffer. Spend time doing what you love, and then having the logo. So having it kind of go, instead of trying to do it in columns like this and balance it off, just have it, really large and then the small font below it. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I think because this is just confusing, it blending, it almost looks like it's a part of the background. I think what would be a fun, clearer message is that if you just kind of incorporated golf into the Swiffer part. And then the same thing with your font, having it go across, your font below, smaller, right below, and make sure you're not too close to the edge here. And here, this is also the edge. So bring it away from the edge, give it about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge, okay? And I want to see kind of that direction, because I feel like this is just kind of a little too plain and safe, traditional ad, where you can kind of push the envelope here, where you have her kind of already in a golfing position. Why not add those two together, emphasizing that, with Swiffer, golfing, mopping can actually be fun. Okay, so play around with that idea. Also bring in color scheme. Well, it looks like you grabbed some blue from there. I like that idea, and the green from Swiffer. So have a third element repeated somehow. So maybe even just using parts of it. So have this all the same color, all green, and then or even all black, and then having time be the blue that you see in her gloves or something like that. And then again, even be in the blue to add interest to it by just changing up even the colors to emphasize words, okay? So there's some ideas. If you want me to look at it, send it over to me. I'd be happy to look at it again after you play around with it, because it's hard if you're gonna have to go a different direction to give you feedback and then not know how it turns out. Okay. Okay, this is taking a second to load. I'm gonna pull up the next one too as well. See. Okay. I'm going to do Becca's first, Aline, and then I'm going to come back to you, okay? And do yours, just because yours is still loading. So I'll go to her and do hers first because it's already loaded. Okay, which one would you rather pay for? Duracell lasts 20% longer than the other leading batteries. I like that idea. I would even go further and kind of play off of the food and say something along the line of, for your call to action, savor your battery life, or be like savor the flavor, savor your battery life with Duracell. Make the smarter choice or something like that. So I would even tie that food in a little bit more so it makes sense, because this is a very fun creative idea, but tie it in a little bit more to the copy. So savor the length, or savor your battery life, or just savor more with Duracell, something along those lines, okay? And tie those in together. Great cutout, though. It looks really clean. The batteries, the message is really nice and clear. It's a unique approach to it. I'm not a huge fan of the typography. I don't like that it's all the same weight, all the same category, except for the Duracell part. And it's kind of an overused category. It's not really one of my favorite fonts. So I think you could go further with the typography, especially because you have words that you can emphasize on here, like which would you rather. Rather could be emphasized. Pay for could be emphasized. Or even just pay could be emphasized. But add contrast. So I was just explaining this. Who was I just talking to? Jordan. I use the same font here, a sans serif, nice sans serif font, and it's the exact same font, but it looks different and adds contrast because I'm using extra light up here, and then there's black. So I'm doing extra light and black, and see how much interest that just brings to it. Big Julie Phelps. It's kind of a weird message, but I was trying to make a point that you can add contrast with just the weight of it, and it just adds a lot more interest. Also, when you're working with font like this, you want to group it together, get rid of all this extra space. So see how I brought these together tighter and how it looks so much cooler. So, for example, what would you, I could even make that, oops, don't hold shift. This is such a hard habit of mine because they decided to update and just make my world crazy. What would you rather pay for? And you can even put it there. You can align that way. You can align center. You can align this way. Whatever you want. Figure out how you want to align. But like I said, on this one, I'm fine if you center too, because it's kind of just for advertisement. But see how interesting that looks? What would you rather pay for? Imagine that in this kind of style. What would you rather pay for? And then having Duracell, just a lighter or even regular. There's a regular option too as well. Text tool. See, or even semi-bold or something, you can have that, Duracell. But if you're going to center align it, then center align this text too. So maybe I kind of like your alignment here. So what would you rather? What would you rather pay for? And then have your other text here. Duracell, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So that's an idea on how you could make your text a little bit more interesting to look at. Okay. And I think that's my only feedback on that. Other than that, it looks really nice. And this is fun too as well. The only thing is I guess you have your logo right up here. Maybe I would actually, if you're going to do that, use the actual logo up here. And instead of just the logo you made, but the actual logo up there. And then the same thing, you know, you can add the Duracell last 25. So on this one, since you're taking out your tagline, then I would just still include, you know, savor with Duracell, and make the smarter choice, okay? Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns, but it's looking good. I love your idea. Okay. We're going back to Aline. Here we go. Oh my goodness, sorry. Guys, everyone's starting to text me. Okay, Fresh as a Daisy, Pearl and Daisy Natural Soap Company. Okay, fun, creative. I like the direction of this, and it's great Photoshop work too. It looks like it's actually in the center of the circle. Great color scheme. I do like your contrast that you added with your fonts and the grouping, and that you added this nice little area space. Oh my goodness, sorry, it's a group text, and I think this right now is feeling a little crowded over here. Maybe I would make it smaller, or I would move it right below here, Fresh as a Daisy, you know, and then just have the small text right here, aligning it either way. Either one of those, make it smaller or move it over there. Do you have a call to action though? I feel like you're missing a call to action. Fresh as a Daisy. Daisy Natural Soap Company. Yeah, you do need to have a call to action there. Like pick up yours today. I do love the cleanness, the white space, the clear focal point, but as part of the requirements, you do need 1 to 2 sentences in there. And so you can add a call to action in here somewhere, like Pearl and Daisy Natural Soap Company. Pick yours up today at your local convenience store. Purchase this online. Those are all forms of call to actions that you could add there, okay? So that just needs to be included. But other than that, I think it's good. You also need a Facebook ad. Oh, and I just noticed this. This is actually the wrong size. It is supposed to be landscape because it's a magazine ad. So, you know, when it's in magazines, it needs to be, I mean, not landscape, it needs to be portrait style. So it needs to be up and down like this because it in a magazine, right? And so you adjust portrait. And I mean, even if that means add some more blue up there, you know, some of the more blue background up there, and then bringing your text up there, floating down, that could be an option, but it does need to be portrait. And that's so unfortunate because I love this setup, but this is the setup for Facebook ad. It needs to be landscape. So keep this layout for the Facebook ad and then get your portrait layout for the magazine ad, okay? Let me know if you have any questions on that, but it looks really pretty. Great job. Okay. All right, Christy, I'm thinking about changing the word balance to the blue color. Put more focus on the word and tie the color scheme together, or would it be distracting? I don't know. Okay. Well, let me look. That's a Facebook ad, right? I do like tying in the color scheme, that idea of making that balance. I do feel like you're right. It's kind of, there's a lot going on. So what I would recommend doing is having these images back here blended a little bit more. So I would, let's see if I can do it with just this one. While it's downloading, I'll show you if we can do that. But I do love this idea, you know, the idea of balancing and this creates some nice balance in your life. The text, though, is getting really hard to read, and so that message is getting lost a little bit. I feel like we have text up here, and then we have to kind of shuffle through this and get to this text here. Keep your pocket buddy notebooks. Keep your organized. Never mind, that could be broken up like that. Are you ready to? Sorry, I'm seeing if this will let me open up in Photoshop real quick. Don't resolve. Okay. So yeah, so I'd go in here and just kind of lower the opacity a bit more so they're more faded in there, and go through each layer and just lower it a little bit more. So it's kind of more of a subtle background image. And it is hard because you do get then these distinct lines here, and I'll show you about what I would recommend doing with those. Oh, you need to unlock that layer. It was locked. Did you see that little lock? That meant you can't do anything to it. And maybe you did that on purpose, but then we lower the opacity there. And that way it's more, this now the text is a lot easier to read and it's not competing with the background. And then this is a nice subtle thing where I'm like already seeing this message and then I'm intrigued to kind of pay attention to the background. And if you're having weird lines, like if you're having like these distinct lines here, you can find out kind of where that is. It's on this one. Add a mask on there. So I just clicked on the little mask icon there, and then grab your brush tool and go in there. Make sure black is on top and just kind of blend. Oh, I have my opacity down up here on the brush. Blend that into the background a little bit. Okay. And it helps that line over here. Okay, let's find another line. That's another one. Add a mask on there. So click on that mask tool and then again, blend this line in a little bit more. I like sometimes even working with my brush a little bit bigger because it makes more of a gradual blend. Okay. Click on the mask. Let's blend this in a little bit more. Nope. That's not what I wanted. Soccer. I don't know where this one is. It's gone. Add a mask, and then I go in there and just blend it. Okay, so kind of let you take over at this point. You can go in there, start doing that. I don't know where. This one is right here, that line. Maybe it's the camping. Yeah, oh, that's where it is. And this one, it almost feels like you don't need that one because you can't even see it. So you can just take that layer off. But yeah, so that's all blended in there a little bit more. And that also, because you have those sharp edges off, you can also kind of, if you're worried about these gappy white spaces, you can make them larger, filling up the frame a little bit more. That makes it look like it's kind of all running together. So there you go. That's my suggestion, is go in there, lower the opacity on the layers. So I brought them down to like 20% so that they're not so opaque. And then this is my message and this is my message. And then I do like the idea of adding blue there. One thing I'm noticing is this text looks squished together there, so be careful. Oh, I don't have that one. Be careful that it's not squished, and if maybe you held shift or something and that's what's moving it around. So remember in Photoshop, and actually don't remember, this is something that we just found out and I wrote about it in my week 11 video, but Photoshop now did an update where it doesn't, if you hold shift, it actually skews things out of proportion. Naturally, it will keep things in proportion if you don't hold shift. So forget everything you learned except for when you're in Illustrator and InDesign, and don't hold shift when resizing, because that does look like the text lost its proportion. I would too, maybe because you have a playful font here, to contrast with this, I would go with more of a solid sans serif font. So find the sans serif font and source sans. That's my go-to every time. And let's go and play around with this, contrasting with this, the different weights. So there I just hit bold, and that created more of the bold and look to it. And then you come down here, where is that font? And also keeping is missing an E. Be careful of that. But anyways, come in here and make this source, find whatever font you want. But I put this like extra light, except for the things that I want. Maybe keeping you organized, bold, and then balance, and then just have that one, match this font instead. So, and now that I'm seeing these side by side, it definitely looks like you lost proportion on the title. So I would probably just delete this one altogether and then retype it so that you're in the correct proportions. I forgot what that just said. Pocket Buddy. See, do you see the difference there? It's not so squished in. And if you were trying to squish it in, there's a better way to do that. Maybe just decreasing the kerning right here. And that makes the space between the words tighter. But don't ever lose proportion on your text, okay? So I hope that kind of helps you. That will make your to-do list a lot more of a focal point, and this more into the background. And since this is kind of all center, I would center align the text with that and with each other, because right now this is aligned here, but then this is not feeling aligned with anything. Everything's feeling off balance. Or move it so that this is all in the center more, okay, and balance. So, but this one, I feel like the text is fine the way you have it. It looks good that way. But this, I feel like it could just go over to the center a little bit, and then we have it kind of going directly, and it feels a lot more balanced, okay? And then, do you have a logo on here? I'm not seeing a logo. Keep you organized to keep life in balance. And then I would say, with your call to action, pick one up today, or pick up your Pocket Buddy, or whatever. Or you could even put your logo, pick up the logo, and then today at the convenience store or at the local grocery store or online, but give us a solid call to action, okay? All right, thanks, Chrissy. Hopefully that helps you know what direction to go. Okay, Gabby, you're up. Okay, Gabby, yours is taking a little bit of time to load. I'm going to go to the next one and come back to you after it's loaded. Valentina, you're having the same problem. It's taking forever to load. I'm doing it in a second. Okay, Kaylin, yours is loading a little bit faster, so looks like we'll get it. So Facebook first. It's probably where it goes. Did you say anything too? Logo text is weak. Concept is. So the ad on Facebook is going to be pixelated, just because of the quality and the size that he put in a favorite ad, but I do not mark off for it being quality. And that's just because it's meant to be seen on a mobile screen and not a full-fledged monitor. And that's why it shows up pixely. If I was to view this on my mobile phone, it would look fine. So I don't want you to stress about that size, okay? Rubbermaid. A bin that changes the way we trash. Ooh, I like the idea. It's like blasting off into space, right? The trash can. It's definitely a different, unique approach, and it's catching my eye and trying to figure out what's going on, and then I read it and I understand that it is a trash bin. So I do think your creative idea is strong. I feel like you could push yourself with typography, and I've just kind of been demonstrating, you know, the difference between weight. Like these are the same sizes, but we're doing, you know, different weight right here and interest to it. You know, you can also emphasize words. So I could come in here and let's say I want to even, where is my text tool? Right there. Emphasize pay with just even just a different color. I can do that. And it already adds some interest to it. So don't be afraid to kind of push your typography, play a little bit. A bin that changes the way we see trash. And, you know, there's lots of words that you can emphasize that as a message here. I feel like you don't really have a call to action on here, which is a part of the requirements. So pick your trash can up today, pick yours at the recycling bin, pick yours at online. There's all these options, but you do have to have a strong call to action in there too as well. And I'm assuming these are the two images you blended together, the trash can and this. So that's looking good. I like that your text is easy to read. I would bring the logo down here with the text though, because it's grouped together with the text. So even if it's small and in the corner and insignificant, that's fine. It's not the most important part of the message, but then the action here, okay? But I like that this is blasting off. I'm wondering if you can maybe move this up a little bit, use the clone stamp to just create this orange smoke down here so you have a little bit more space to write the text. That might be a suggestion. But I really do like the concept though, it's fun. This I feel like you can recognize again a lot more than in this ad. But you have a lot more space to work with the text. So I don't know. I think I recognize that that was a trash right off the bat, so you're fine there. I think really just remember what relates to each other groups together. So this is a part of the text, like in a part of your call to action. So it'll need to come down here and then add your call to action in there. And then I would like to see you play around with your font now. You have the Build Creative with it. So play around with it. What are you going to do to add repetition to as well? So maybe it is bringing the color red somewhere else too, because it's a part of the logo. Or even putting the logo small on the trash can too as well. That might be an option to add repetition. Okay. I do think you have some nice repetition in these lines though, so almost feels that's counting. I hope that gives you some direction on what to do and where to go with that. Okay, Kaylin. Okay, where are we? Oh no, which ones this is? I know we skipped ahead because it was loading, but I think that this is Valentina's stuff and not Gabby's, right? And yours is still loading, Gabby. Okay. I'm gonna assume this is yours, Valentina. If it's yours, Gabby's, then I'm correct. I'm critiquing yours, but I'm pretty sure this is Valentina's. Okay, a good night's sleep helps to keep your battery charged. This is a fun idea. So, is this an advertisement for battery, or is this an advertisement for pillows, or is this an advertisement for furniture? So I think right now it's not really clear what you're advertising for. So I would just add, because you need to have a call to action anyways, like pick yours up today, find yours at the local convenience store. So I would add your body copy down here that says, whatever this advertisement is for. Like if it's advertising batteries, find your long lasting battery or your long lasting rechargeable battery here at IKEA, or find a way to energize yourself at night through this pillow, through comfortable pillows or something like that at IKEA. But right now I'm not sure exactly what you're selling. I feel like you have a great idea and concept here, but I just don't know what you're selling. You have two different ads. So this one's a pillow. So probably this one's a pillow as well. So you only need to do one, so don't worry about that. But I love that you went above and beyond so that we have some options here. But you do need a Facebook ad as well, okay? So let's see, what does this say? Your pillow, your fortress. Pillow will protect your sleep. This one. So I feel like this direction, create another Facebook ad that is similar to, or else if you decide you want to go this way, then you need to make a clearer message, okay? So I'm going to critique this one real quick because I do like this idea. I like what that you have, this fortress created here. What I would do, what I recommend doing is to kind of fill up the frame more with just this. So let me see if this will let me download it, and it won't take forever. But what I would do is I would make this spot right here larger and filling up more of the frame. And that way I'm not paying attention to these repeated blocks here, but have it fill up more of the frame. And then I would have a solid area here and not this busy background to work with. And that way you can have your message really large, like your pillow, your fortress, and then right small below it, because I do like that you're contrasting in size, pillow will protect your sleep, or whatever this pillow is. So you could say like the IKEA pillow that will protect your sleep. Pick yours up today because you need a call to action. Pick yours up today at IKEA, at your local IKEA store. And just have this, like I said, a solid shape. You could have like this orange repeated here, or a blue solid shape, or just white even. It's repeated in the white pillow here. But this is nice Photoshop work, so great job on that. I feel like this just needs to be kind of more of a clear message. And then I wouldn't have the logo repeated twice. Just have it once down below and have your message what's clear. So see here how I have the text, like the message is really clear. Then I would put your small body copy, oops, above your small body copy right below. Like this. Pick yours up today. Purchase yours at the local. I want to get rid of that green. Okay, purchase yours at the local IKEA store, and you can even have your IKEA local logo right here. So logo right here, body copy right here, nice and small, and then have it in this area, okay? And then you'll need to make a Facebook ad too, which is a smaller ad. It gives the sizes and the requirements, but it's a smaller ad and version of this. It'll be more landscape. So you could even go this direction and then have your text over here to the side of it. Look at that before you turn it in. You can definitely email it over and I'll take a look at that, okay? All right. So let's see. Okay, Gabby, you're up. Shredding enough. Okay, so I feel like there's a lot going on with the message. I like that this is the shredded and then you have your shredder there. I feel like this could be maybe cut out just a little bit better. I'm still seeing the lines here. So I'd go in there and cut it out a little bit better. If you need help with that in week 2, because it looks like you have a solid white background, so that's good. But in, not week 2, sorry, week 11, my instructor videos, I have a nice video, the first video on how to easily cut that out. So I'd go in there and do that. I think one way to just convey this message really easily, make this shredder bigger. I would take off all these extra photos because they're kind of distracting. And to go a little bit more creative idea approach, I would take this and kind of have the thief with the social security number going into the shredder, like it's being shredded. Like there's no way this thief is going to steal the social security number because you were shredding them. So that's an idea of conveying that message in a simpler way and also a more impactful way of communicating that message straight up right off the bat. However, though, this photo, how it says iStock, you won't be able to use that photo because you have to clearly license that photo. So I would find a photo that doesn't have a watermark on it so that you can use it for this, because we won't be able to accept photos that have a clear statement that says you have to use a watermark. I mean, you have to license this image in order to use it. So it shouldn't say the iStock in there. So I'd look for an image maybe similar to this, and then I would have it so it's going into the shredder. And you can use your mask tool easily. I'll show you real quick. But you can, like, let's say this is going into the shredder. We'll just use this as an example. This is going into the shredder. Here's the shredder. This line right here is a shredder. I'm using my resources. You'll put a mask on it. So click on that layer, click on this little mask tool, the square with the circle in the center. I would go over here, grab your paintbrush, and then I would also come over here to the top, and so it doesn't blend, you want a hard line, drag this hardness all the way over to the end. So it says 100%. And then I have my black on top, because black conceals or reveals, whatever you want to refer to it as, but it's going to remove this part of the layer. And I'm just going to paint. See, when I work with a hard brush, I get more distinct lines. So when you're trying to like cut it into having it fade into a shredder like that, you can take easily the identity theft with the social security card and have that act like it's being shredded. But I think that's more of a creative approach to it instead of a traditional approach, because you're saying, not only am I taking my social security card, which is important information, and shredding it, but I'm taking the thief itself and shredding him with the shredder. And that's just kind of saying I'm protecting, you know, what I need to. And then so that your text is a clear focal point, I would soften your background. And you can do that by going to your layer, finding your background image like I just did. And I unlocked that image, and then I just lowered my opacity. I need a background first. Let me put a background on there. And you know, if your background image is that, you can always go new layer. And okay, I can fill that with a solid. I want that white. Fill that with white, and I will have that go underneath my background image. See, and now, and I can just soften my layer so it's blended, and that way your text will pop a lot more, and it'll be clear. With the drop shadow, remember to keep it light and keep it tight. So if you watch my week 11 video, I talk about how to make sure your drop shadows are not too mucky, and this drop shadow is just a little too mucky. So go in there and watch that video. But other than that, you have a logo, so good job on that. And then I would cut this black background out. Again, watch week 11 video and I show you how to do that. And so I would cut that out, and then you need a call to action in here and 2 to 3 sentences. So I would say, you know, shredding enough. And then I would say, make sure, you know, your identity doesn't get stolen. Pick up your shredder today at the local grocery store or at the local convenience store or something. Okay. All right. Let me know if you have any questions on that, Gabby, okay? Okay, we have Branson next. Okay, that's loading. Put it out, don't worry. Americans probably ended up deciding against the thing. Okay, I understand that. It's a lot of learning. So, okay, let me go ahead and take a look at this. Okay, Ninja Blade. Quality, precise, precision, sorry, consistency. So again, I love this idea, and I talked to you about this when you said, I love this idea, very creative. The idea that the paper could break the scissors, except for this, is conveying the message that these sorry, I got distracted for a second. Is that scissors are powerful and they're the ones that you want. So great job on that. This is very clean, easy to recognize. The flow is really nice. The only thing is, I feel like you're missing a call to action. So you have, you know, your tagline here, but you also need a call to action. So maybe you might need to move everything up a little bit. I love that you're breaking barriers here though, but add yourself a little bit more white space below. So you could say, pick yours up today at the local store, or, you know, don't buy generics, don't waste on quality, whatever you want to do. Poor quality, you know, buy top of the line or something along the lines. Give yourself a call to action below and you'll be good. And same with this. On your Facebook ad, you'll need a call to action on there as well. I like that you know, made sure it wasn't too busy on the Facebook ad, because that does, you know, that tends to happen because it's smaller ad, less space to work with, but your message is still clear. So I would just add the call to action in there, and I think you'll be good to go. Everything else looks really good. And it's okay that you didn't go the 3D route. This looks really solid, what you've done with this. And I know, like it looks like you Photoshop added this, but then you actually created the blades itself in order to create this going on. So good, great job. The scissors look great. The message looks great. Everything's very clean. I would even, you have repetition here with the black, but, and the dotted lines. It could be fun to add some color to this, to have this pop a little bit more. Quality, precision, consistency. Adding this blue again to add some repeated elements. That might add even a little bit more interest. So there's some ideas there, but definitely get that call to action in there. And it looks great, Brenton. I'm really happy with it. So good job. Oops. I went too far, guys. Where am I? Okay, London's up. Version done, but any help? Okay. As long as you know you have to do a Facebook version, you're good. Okay, so London, it's taking a few minutes to load, so I'm gonna come back to you in a second. Originally hadn't posted ad, I decided to go with, okay. Now, Elizabeth, yours is taking a while to load too. I'm gonna come back to you. And what's going on, everybody, so you're aware of this while it's loading, is because you're saving it with the ability to edit still from a PDF, which is fine, but, and keep your original, but I would also go save as, and then Photoshop PDF, great, save, okay. Then I would uncheck preserve Photoshop capabilities, and that will lower the quality. It won't, that way it won't take so long to upload to iLearn or pull up and any of that stuff, and save PDF. Now here's the deal. Once you do that, you still need to go back. Let's say you make changes to this then. You'll still need to go back and go file, save as, and then make sure you save over your original Photoshop. Because if you go save Photoshop PDF and then you take off that editing capabilities, then yeah, you lose the completely. So make sure you still keep your original, okay? All right, London, you're getting closer. Do I wait? I don't even know. It's going, it's almost there. I think I'll wait for you. But with my luck, it'll stop. Let me get a drink of water. I might too, even. Make sure Stephanie. Oh, she has JPEG, so we'll be good. Okay. All right, London. I'm thinking this one's yours, right? Yeah, he did post it. No, add. Okay. All right, stick it. Don't pin it. Nail all your plans with super sticky. I do like this idea. It's a very creative approach to it. And I'm assuming it's targeting men just the way they would probably, just the way that I could see like my husband doing this, just pinning a note onto the wall. The only thing is this is a little blurry here and then this is not. So it's kind of, it's making these qualities look different. The cutout looks good. I'm wondering, can you find a man that has a little bit more of a focal point on the nail in his hand too as well? Or you could even kind of blur the paper just a little bit too. And you can do that by picking the layer that that's on. So I could show you an example. So pretend this is your paper. You can go over here and go window, no, sorry. What am I trying to do? Blur. Okay, filter, blur, Gaussian blur right here. And then, oops, I didn't want it to just blur without me. Oh, here's my options over here. I have two monitors I'm working. And then you can kind of match that level of blurriness. It's not a whole lot, like you can still see, so you can still see that, but having a little just blurred, and then you'll probably have to do that with the text too, and just kind of blur that so it matches more this, and then it's like the hammer's the focal point and he's the focal point. That's kind of blurring a little bit. And that way that'll look, because right now with the camera, if this camera is taking a picture, the focus point's here, so this should be bokeh and blurry a little bit. So I hope that makes sense. Maybe I could even demonstrate that in just a second. Let it download. Okay, stick it, don't pin it. Nail all your plans with super sticky Post-it notes. Here to help you stay organized. Yeah, I like that you're using the sticky note to do that. I would try more of a handwriting font, and I would just go to Google and go handwriting free font and oh, spell it right, Sister Pearson. And just kind of pull up some handwritten fonts, ones that look like it was scribbled on a sticky note more. Something like this even, looks like it could have been written on a sticky note. So go through and find a font that looks a little bit more sticky note. And this one's fine because you want this to look professional, but I think it would be fun to make it look a little bit more handwritten. And then it would be fun too to emphasize a word here, like pin, and make that even a different color or bigger or smaller or whatever. I'm trying to think. See how I'm emphasizing a word with just color or different weight and size there. So that's some ideas on with a little bit more interest to that sticky note. But other than that, I think it's off to a great start. If you want me to look at your Facebook ad when you get the chance, yeah, because you said you didn't have a Facebook ad. So when you want me to look at your Facebook ad, then let me know. Okay, let me see if I can show you this. I'm just trying, to find your paper right there. So this, I would go filter, blur, Gaussian blur. I like Gaussian blur because I feel like it has a little bit more. Oh, that's your drop shadow. Oh, do you still have the drop shadow on there? Oh, it might be your mask itself. You might have to go in there. Let me see if we can get it close. Probably even right about there is fine. Hit OK. And then let's find your text here. Lunch. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. It's going to say, do you want to rasterize it? Make sure this is exactly what you want as far as spelling and all that. Then you can hit rasterize. And that basically means it's turning it into an object. And then we can go in there and just kind of blur it. There we go. So it's kind of blended into the background a little bit more. And see, that kind of matches a little bit more with what you're needing to do. I would even go in here, try and make some shadow. Maybe you can even do that with. Where is your note? Right there. And just pull up some gray. I'd even lower my opacity right here down into my brush. And then go in here and kind of, let's go a little darker. You can't even see that. Go in there. Oh, I have a hard brush. I'm like, why is this looking like that? Make sure your brush isn't hard, that it has a feather to it. See? Ooh, there we go. But see, I'm adding a little bit of a shadow because he will create that natural shadow. And over here, this will need to be a lot darker than right here. And that'll create more of a realistic look to it. And I'm just painting. I lowered my opacity down up here. I have a dark gray. See, that's adding more of a shadow, like he's on top of the note. So I do that, blur that out. That could add, that could make it feel like it's more a part of this. He has also shadow right here. You see a shadow right here, so you can kind of just follow that. Follow the shadow onto the paper. See, that looks a little bit more realistic. So that's my suggestions there, okay? All righty. Miss Valentina, okay. Or London, we were doing London. And Elizabeth is next, right? Yes, you did Band-Aid. Okay, friendship, facing trouble, get a Band-Aid. What a cute idea, I love this. So much. Did you say anything? Yes, I remember you doing both the post-it. Okay. Make sure you do a magazine ad though. I mean, you did a magazine ad. Make sure you also do a Facebook ad. So that's part of the requirements. One thing I'm noticing is that you have your image stretched. So I would make sure that's better in proportion. So this shouldn't be stretched, that this should be within proportion. So you should never try and fit your shape in there, but you should resize it to fit the whole background. If you need help with that, I talk about that specifically in my week 11 video under instructor notes. So watch that video. I talk about how you just should resize, and even if it leaves the frame, that's better than losing the proportion. You should never try and get your image to fit the proportion if it's easy to see proportions like these cars, okay? The text is a little hard to read, so I would what you could do is add kind of a small gradient dark to go in here, because we don't need it to see all this up here and have it kind of slowly fading in there. So for example, scared to just have you download it because it seems to be taking forever. But let me show you an example. I'll just do it on London's real quick. But I would create a new layer. So come over here to the top of your layer palette and hit new layer. Okay. Then I'd come over here and grab your gradient tool, which is right underneath your paint bucket. Gradient tool right there. Then I'd come up here to the top corner right here and make sure that it's selected like this, the solid to the checkered board. And what that means is it's solid shape to clear. And then you can come over here, grab black for your fill right here, just your fill, your top fill. And then I would draw a line, and I have it right here. So I draw a line, click, pull, and drag, and see how it creates like this dark. Oh, also I lowered my opacity right here. That was an important step. So right here, you lower your opacity 30%. Okay. And then anyways, you just go and draw a dark line, and it'll start to create a darker gradient. And that will allow your text to pop a little bit more. And then this layer's on top. You can then move it so it's underneath your text because it's on its own layer. See how it's starting to go underneath the text? And see, and that has that nice gradual gradient, dark there, and you can even do a dark blue there, and that way your font will be a lot clearer and it won't be competing with the background. And you can, if you feel like you went too far, you can even come up here to the layer and lower your opacity and lighten it up a little bit. So that's my suggestion to get that text to pop. You do need a logo on there. So I put the Band-Aid logo on there. Band-Aid, keeping friendships strong and safe for over a century. Look for Band on Google, Band-Aid logo, clear background, or even you can put PNG. I find if I just put PNG, they know what I. So images and oh my internet, move faster. And then you can click, and if you're seeing checkered board, then that means it's a clear background. That one's not. See this one? Checkered board, clear background. So this, you don't even have to just put this onto your ad and not have to deal with a white background. So that's my suggestion. Then you can have the Band-Aid logo on there. And then also you can add repetition by making this red like the Band-Aid logo to add some repetition throughout the whole piece and tie it together. You do have a widow here, so I'd balance this out a little bit more so century is not just by itself. Okay. Band-Aid keeping friendship strong. You do need a call to action. So pick yours up today, save 15% off. If you pick it up today, use this coupon code online, blah, 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 blah. Find a call to action. Okay. Start. Looks good, Elizabeth. Okay, Jessica, you're it. Oh, wait, Stephanie was before you. Sorry. Almost skipped you, Stephanie. So sorry. Really appreciate some candid feedback on this. I don't love the body text of the ad. I don't. Really. Yeah, I can understand that. Could you condense copy? That's a good well. It takes you places. I love that. The bathtub. Try new. Well, you know what? I would take this. It can be minimal. It doesn't have to be big and in your face. I would take this, just make it into this nice sans serif font, make it white, and have it small right down here in the corner so that it takes you places. And then I have this nice flowing steam. Here's the bathtub. How fun. And then right below it, really small, try new body bar, steaming exfoliation with Himalayan pink salt, volcanic ash, and eucalyptus. Please don't make fun of me. Okay, and then have zest right next to it, the logo. Now the logo, see how it's touching that? That is a bit of a tangent, so bring that up. But yeah, have that small. So what I mean by that, you can create minimalistic ads with small body copy, and not be distracting. This is really appalling. Some of these advertisements ads, we just won't write advertisement. But this is an example. Oh, it just has the logo in there. But see how small this body copy is down here? Not distracting at all. This body copy too, small, out of the way, not distracting. And it still creates, this is a clear focal point. Come kind of creepy. Sometimes creative ads are inspiring, sometimes I'm just like, "What is going on here?" But yeah, small body copy, out of the way. And that's the thing I think that you're trying to do is just make this smaller, put it down here. It does not have to be big. I mean, you're already grabbing my attention. I'll read this copy and have it white so it's easy still to read small right here in the corner. And then I would put the logo, the copy right here, the logo right next to it, have it about 12 point, uh, even 10 point if you want, and then make sure your logo is not too close to the edge. And that way I have this leading me down and taking me to here. Okay? How does that sound? And then this box isn't distracting and you get more your minimalistic look. Why am I having a hard time saying that? And then the same thing with this. I would move this to right here in the white more so it's easier to read. It takes you places and it also leads me to the bathtub. And then I would just have your text small along the bottom here or even over here. But I mean, it's going to have to be a little bit bigger because it's a smaller ad than this would, but just have it so you can still read it and it's white and it's just along the bottom here. And it's not even in a box, it's just going along the bottom so that it's just a nice fresh line, okay? If you want to do that and have me look at it afterwards, I'd be happy to do that. But hopefully that gets you the direction you're wanting to go. And it looks great. I forgot to add that part. It does look great. So it's a beautiful ad. Okay, Jessica. Let me see. My Facebook ad is super small when I blow it up. And don't worry about that. I know I feel like a broken record with this, but that's okay. I'm not a fan of the Facebook size. I'm not a supporter of this in the course, but unfortunately, sometimes we have to do sizes we don't want to. So the thing with the Facebook ad is it's supposed to be on a mobile phone, and that's why it doesn't view well on the monitors because our monitors are way too big. So it'll look clearer and better on a mobile phone. So if you are worried about it being pixelated, don't stress. You will turn it in. I will not mark you off for it, okay? I understand that it is supposed to be a smaller size, okay? All right, so I think that's all you had to say, right? Rocky 3 Hole Punch. I love the idea of this book. I feel like I would recommend taking this background and just lowering the opacity on it. By that, I mean, let me find the background one. I already did. Click on your background image, go over here and lower the opacity on it. So it's kind of more subtle in the background. And that way, this is more of a clear focal point. I feel like when I look at this, I'm not sure where I'm supposed to look first because there's so much to look at. So lower the opacity, and that way this is clear right off the bat, the focal point. And let's remove or tighten these drop shadows. Either tighten these drop shadows so that they're tighter together or remove them a little bit. And that way, because right now it's making, the drop shadows are making them, the products feel like they're floating when they should be more solid on the ground. Another option is what you could do to kind of make it a little bit more realistic. I'm trying to find a good example. Is I would just do it on this one. I would find your background and I would just take your brush tool I have my brush, I have black, I come over here, I lower my opacity up here to just around 13, 10%. And then I go in and I just paint a shadow on there and I make it tighter. And I just paint along that area. And it creates more of a shadowy look to it. And that way, I mean, you'll paint it along the bottom here, but just paint, but on this edge and this edge so that it feels like it's more grounded. It's just that type of shadow. So that's my suggestion there. I would play around with your font too. You have lots of options here, and I've been kind of showing some typography examples. Like you could do different weight. Like this is actually all the same font, but it's all different weight right here. So it's Source Sans Pro, and I did extra light right here. And then right here, I did black as my option. And then right here, I did regular. And then I also grabbed a word and I emphasized it by changing the color to red, and see how interesting that is. So you could do that with this. You could say Rocky 2 and then have Rocky, or even like this. I'm going to show you. Let me type Rocky what did it say? Hole punch. I like the play on punch. So I love that idea that we're playing on punch, and it's part of Rocky. So I would even emphasize punch. First off, I would make this Rocky. Let's make this extra light. This is going to be black, and then this is even going to be, what color do you have going on here? Maybe even this brown from this book, red. There's lots of options there, but emphasize punch. You can even eyedrop. So if you pull your eyedrop off, you can come in here and eyedrop a color, any of the colors from your image. Oops, don't hold shift. Learning, don't hold shift. But anyways, see how that adds a little bit more interest to it, just doing something like that. So that's an option. You can play around with your font, add some interest to it. And then unbeatable office supplies, unbeatable prices, only at Office Max. So you do need the logo. Here's a trick for finding a logo, by the way, which makes it easy. Office Max logo PNG, and I'm at Google Images. PNG, and then I'm going to look for the. I'm going to go through these images. Board on it. Got to be careful sometimes what you're looking for. This one's a good one. See, if it already has a checkered board on it, it probably was saved that way. So like if I, for example, if I pull that off and then pull it onto one of my Photoshop files, hold on. Let's see. Oops, come on. Okay, one more time. See, it still has a checkered board. So if it has checkered board in this preview mode, then probably it will have checkered board when you bring it in, and that's not good. But if you remember from this logo, see the difference? Right here, it's solid checkered board. And if you pull it off, do you see how you can't really see a background? That will work. So you're looking for something like this, because then you can just place it on, like literally, I'll show you. Bring back my Photoshop. Let's delete this one. I can just place it on my ad, and it doesn't have a background, and it's perfect, and it works so nice. So that's a little trick to finding an Office Max logo. So hopefully that helps you in finding your logo. But add a logo on there. You have a call to action, right? Unbeatable office supplies, only at Office Max. Pick yours up today, okay? And then for your call to action, then add your logo on there, right? But some good Photoshop work. For the most part, it looks pretty clean. I would maybe clean up the edit more, some are a little bit choppy. If you watch my week 11 video, I really kind of help you, both videos help you on how to kind of work through Photoshop. And again, this is okay that it's pixelated, but you will need to add a logo and a call to action. This, though, extra space throws it off so it doesn't feel balanced. So make sure that your box is balanced, that you don't have this extra rag here. So unbeatable office supplies, unbeatable prices, only at Office Max. Pick yours up today. Something like that, okay? But make it feel more balanced. All right. Let me know if you have any questions or if you want me to look at it again, okay, Jessica? Thanks everybody for your hard work on it. These are looking great. I can't wait to see the final result. And again, email me if you want me to look at it one more time, okay? What am I doing?